Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And then that brings us to citizens' comments. I know we have a written comment. Do we have any public comments this evening?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay. This is our time where we do accept public comments. If somebody does come in to give a public comment, we have 3 minutes allocated to that. And the board can ask Dr. Lane to follow up if there are any follow-up issues or questions. So we'll go ahead and read the comment that we have this evening, please.
To the members of the Brentwood School Board, Superintendent Lane, and administration. As parents of various Brentwood middle and high school students, our purpose in addressing you today is to shed light on our collective concerns regarding the learning environment of our children in the district. We request this letter be read aloud during the next public board meeting. After hearing concerns from our children and convening with one another, it has come to our realization that the classroom atmosphere is not an environment that is conducive to learning due to lack of control. Our children are returning home upset and exhausted, reporting that class time is regularly interrupted by disruptive behavior, including verbal and sometimes physical interactions. In some extreme examples, we have uncovered incidents that have occurred within the presence of teachers that have been reported to administrative staff. No direct consequences have resulted, causing the offensive behavior to persist or worsen due to a lack of disciplinary action. As a result, students in the classroom who are trying to learn are subject to constant disruptions and cannot attain the quality academic experience that they individually need to flourish. Some recent examples of these incidents include regular verbal outbursts, students talking over teachers to others during class with no consequence. Offensive comments made about students' body parts within the presence of teachers with no consequence. Violent physical interactions such as pushing and punching, restraining, and even hair pulling with no immediate consequence. Students asking for permission to complete their work in the hall due to disruptive behavior. Permission was granted by a teacher as opposed to addressing the problem and regaining control of their classroom. It seems these disruptions are occurring so often that teachers have become overwhelmed and exhausted to the point that they resort to having students watch movies or complete rudimentary worksheets instead of lecturing or initiating other educationally stimulating activities. More focus goes to handling disruptions on an isolated basis, while many other students who are all worthy and deserving of high-quality educational experience are missing out. This is an alarming situation. We are frustrated to hear about the volume of incidents reported to both teachers, counselors, and administrators with no improvement or disciplinary measures implemented. As parents, when we have inquired about these incidents with the appropriate staff at Brentwood Middle School and Brentwood High School, the message we continue to receive is that the problems are addressed with students and administrators privately as needed and on an individual basis. No measurable results occur and the behavior continues and in some cases worsens. We would like Brentwood to remain a desirable district for families and students where education is paramount. A place where all students are welcomed, challenged academically, and supported in all facets. We perceive that the lack of teacher empowerment and control in the classroom is greatly hindering this. Sadly, the result is that many of the families we have convened with are researching other school options, have already found another school they plan to attend, or have already left the district. Every family that leaves only increases the likelihood of another family leaving. Our requests: identify ways to address the classroom environment. Establish consequences for unacceptable behavior. Work with the staff and find ways to empower educators to ensure that their classrooms become safe and conducive environments for learning. ensure that educators have tools needed to garner measurable improvement to the quality of our children's education. Consider alternative learning methods for students unable to comply with the expectations, including permanent removal from the classroom. Have the board analyze and share current district policies with all stakeholders to track progress. We believe that transparency in policies and procedures will ensure accountability. Many families have already made the decision to leave the district without voicing their concerns to the board and decline participation here. We are committed, willing, and ready to assist with securing the school's future for everyone's children. Thank you. Aaron and Marty Bueller, Amy and Matt Layton, Sarah Jane and Hassan Salama, Katie and Scott Spall, Julie and Chris Morris, Laura and Grant Challen, Sarah and John Urhan, Nikki Glines, Lakeisha Denise Harold, Katie and Scott Slaznik, Sarah and Todd G. Schulte, and multiple anonymous families.
All right, thank you. Okay, next we will move into awards and recognitions.
We do have one this evening. Just a second, I'm going to call forward Brady Hansen. Neat story that came to my attention. It was over winter break, and Brady was already helping us out by taking care of the chickens at the high school. And while he was up there, he astutely noticed that we had a broken water pipe in the greenhouse. And so at that point, he actually worked through some district connections to work his way back to our own Andy Hartnett. And Andy was able to come up right away, turn off the water valve, and I can only assume not only saved us a lot of money, but me probably a very difficult Monday morning back to work. So to me, this is just such a great story because it really just says a lot about community. When the fact that you had someone like Brady that was already helping us out, and then he sees something and he doesn't just ignore it or pass it on by, but he was actually able to follow up on it and really take care of us. So thank you, Brady. Come on forward.
Thank you.
Another fun thing about Brady, he's currently working on his Eagle Scout. So
Great.
come on up, let's get a picture here with yeah.
Brady, you need to ask Dr. Lane for a check.
Holiday pay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Brady.
Thank you. All right, Kate, if we could have roll call, please.
Jamie Allen,
Here.
Ryan Flynn,
Here.
Chris Perkins, Keith Ravenberg,
Here.
Keith Slusser, Lindsay Spencer,
Here.
Carrie Trostle.
Here. If I could get a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as outlined.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, that is approved, and that moves us into our superintendent's report.
Okay, first up this evening we have a calendar revision from Dr. Chambers for the 23-24 school year.
Great, thank you. Thanks for having me, board. So I am here to recommend, I believe you all were given an attached amendment to a calendar for the 23-24 school year. So I'm asking that you approve this amendment to ensure the equity of professional learning opportunities of our certified and support staff to strengthen their practice and service of all children across the district, pre-K through 12. It is recommended that the early release professional development learning days, which have been approved for elementary, middle, and high school, also be approved for the staff of the Early Childhood Center. This recommendation includes adjusting the 23-24 Early Childhood Center calendar from 6 full days of instruction to 6 half days of instruction, allowing for the same 3 additional PD days that the rest of the district has. It would be on the following dates: September 1st, October 22nd, December 1st, January 12th, April 19th, and May 3rd. This would also allow opportunities for pre-K through 12 professional development to occur to ensure implementation of the district comprehensive school improvement plan and goals.
I move that we approve the revisions to the 2023-24 academic calendar as outlined.
Second.
Discussion?
So this is just is this basically just to align the BECC with the rest of the district? That's it.
Is this something that other districts are doing as well when they have early childhood centers?
So it is, and as we looked at just kind of the comprehensive program, as we're looking at those kind of district level goals, we identified that we needed to ensure that our ECC staff, both the certified and the support staff, that they also have the opportunities so that we can have a full comprehensive experience for all students across the district.
And then will this affect then parents who have kids, will they then not be in session those days, and we'll notify them as soon as it's approved tonight?
Correct. Yep. That would turn those half days, so currently it would be a full day return into that half day. Yeah, just like everyone else.
So how many professional days, development days do we have total in a calendar year?
Total, so we have early release days, which are the half days. We have 5 professional development days currently approved for elementary, middle, and high,
Okay.
not the ECC. We have 2 full days, curriculum and instruction assessment days for all staff, so
Okay.
that's one at the beginning of the year and then one midway.
Okay.
And then we have 2 mid-year PD for all staff.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
All right, any other questions for Dr. Chambers? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay,
Thank you so much.
all right,
Thank you.
it's approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Dr. Triphammer with curriculum and materials recommendations for social studies, world language, and counseling is up this year.
Maybe, maybe not. There, first try. Okay, thanks for letting me visit with you this evening. This is always like the most exciting part of the year for me because I get to talk about new curriculum. So this year, we, like Dr. Lane just mentioned, we are presenting social studies curriculum, world languages, and counseling tonight. And again, the way this works is we're merely presenting it and obviously offer any questions and answers. And then we'll have all of our materials on public review for until the next board meeting. And that's when we'll ask for formal approval of the curriculum and the materials. So tonight is the presentation of the curriculum and materials for all 3 of these content areas. And now my clicker's not working. That's like, oh, here we go. Okay, so just a quick review. We are on a 5-year curriculum cycle. This year is, like we know, is social studies, world languages, and school counseling. So actually at the end of last school year, these 3 groups started writing their curriculum. They fine-tuned it over the fall. And I'll show you here on this presentation where you can access kind of the working curriculum until it's approved. And then you can kind of see how things will lay out for the next 4 years following. So let's talk about social studies. That was the bigger budget that we had to work on this year. I want to give a shout out to our 2 curriculum leaders, Hillary Corey, kindergarten teacher at Mark Twain Elementary, is our facilitator for elementary, and Roy Hughes is our secondary coordinator, and he couldn't be here tonight because we got some wrestlers that are doing really well, and that's also part of his responsibility. So he prepared a lot of the secondary slides for us this evening. So on the curriculum, it'll be available for you to look in Embark. We used to call that BYOC. That is a hot link that will take you to the public landing page of Embark. And under social studies, you'll just look for anything that says pending 2023 BOE, should say approval. But that's showing what the teachers have worked on to prepare for this year's revision. And we're not going to go through every single content or every grade level because that would be quite a bit to go through. So part of this process is that you have like a month to kind of like dive into that should you choose to look a little deeper into the standards. But as an overview, and this was interesting to note, so the Missouri Learning Standards in Social Studies were revised in 2016, 2017, which was about the last time as a district we had to revise our curriculum. And you can see all the different strands that we cover within the curriculum, but the bottom bullet is really the one I wanted to talk a little bit about. The biggest shift really occurred at the 4th grade to 3rd grade level. If you've had kids previously in the district as 4th graders, it was always a kind of that was the year you did Missouri history, right? And they switched that to 3rd grade. So that forced all school districts in the state to kind of shift their curriculum. As a result, there were not a lot of materials 5 years ago that supported that curriculum because it was a pretty substantial shift. We were fortunate enough to find some materials, and I'll talk about that here in a second, that will help support our 3rd grade team with Missouri history. So in kindergarten through 3rd grade, we're looking at a series called My World Social Studies. It's by the Savas Corporation, formerly Pearson. It utilizes a storytelling, literacy, and other flexible resources approach to teaching of the social studies curriculum. It aligns to the Missouri Learning Standards. And like I mentioned earlier, in particular, we like this one because there's an actual text that is focused on 3rd grade Missouri history. Currently, our teachers are being as resourceful as they can because 5 years ago, there wasn't a whole lot out there. So we wanted to put something in their hands that they could really use as a vetted resource that we felt pretty good about with respect to the standards. The difference on 4th and 5th grade is we're still not, they shifted some of those standards and we're not, to be super honest, that My World Social Studies didn't meet the 4th and 5th grade curriculum as it's written in Missouri, and we didn't want to, quite frankly, spend money on a book that's just going to sit on a teacher's shelf. So what the charge for them was to find additional resources that will help them teach the standards. And so there's a hot link as well where it says 4th and 5th grade. You'll see a variety of resources that they have listed that they would like to use to support their curriculum. I will say a lot of it's maps and atlases, but the bulk of it is literature to tie into both ELA and social studies. It's a nice blend to present what we call cross-curricular teaching. So that's, and I don't have an example to show you of My World Social Studies because the teachers all have them. So I'll get another set to put out here on public display. Okay, I'm going to zip through these as quickly as possible. Like I said, Mr. Hughes is very thorough, and he has presented a slide on every course that we offer 6th through 12th grade in social studies. I will say before I go through all of these, in some of our classes, as we talked about last year with math, there is a shift in secondary education where the days of giving every kid these big old textbooks it's shifting, right? There's a much more digital presence now with our curriculum. So in some of our grade levels, and I want to say it's 6th and 7th, we're giving access, the curriculum is going to be delivered via an online version of the textbook versus a hardback copy. When we get into high school, starting in 8th grade, I should say, we're going to have kind of a combination of a class set of textbooks. As you can see, these things are pretty bulky, and if you have to carry a bunch of those things around, that's like a bad back waiting to happen. And it doesn't make a lot of sense when we are a one-to-one district and we can access everything in the textbook online. So we'll have a set of hard copy textbooks in the class, as well as digital copies for kids to access when they're at home. So on the 6th grade side, we are looking at My World History. Again, that is also a Savas product. And there's a link if you would like to dive more into that text. This is just an image of what that looks like. And then the units that they cover in 6th grade are listed here. It goes from, and I think, Carrie, you and I talked about, do we even teach geography anymore? Yes, we teach geography. So I was glad to see that. And then you can see all the other units that they cover in 6th grade.
Real quick, back on just to point out on the textbooks, so we will have classroom sets of those books, along with, we always purchase a few additional ones. So if we have a situation where either a student has needs related to the written text, or they're going to be out for any kind of extended period of time, that we do have the ability to let those go home with the students.
7th grade, the textbook that we're looking at is Civics, Government, and Economics in Action. And again, there is a link to that if you would like to dive deeper into that. It'll look like this. And these are the themes we cover in 7th grade. It starts, what is civics, roots of American democracy, the Constitution, rights and responsibilities of citizens, ancient Americans, history of West Africa, and age of exploration and trade. On the 8th grade side, we do, again, this is what we were just talking about, we'll have a class set of books for the classroom, as well as digital access for our students. The textbooks that we are recommending is American History, My World History Interactive. Again, Savas is the publisher for this text as well. And in 8th grade, we are looking to cover quite a few themes and units throughout the course of that school year. And now we can move into high school. We did make a few changes, or we're recommending a few changes, not so much to the curriculum, but more to the title of the courses. This is first one is an example of that. So for 9th grade social studies, used to be called, the class was called American Voices. Essentially, that was, the content of that class is United States history. I met with the team, and they really felt like for more clarity and just understanding what are we actually teaching here, United States history seems like sometimes simplicity rules the day, right? So that is the new title of the course. As far as the actual standards, the standards hadn't changed, but the name of the course has. The textbook that we're recommending is U.S. History Interactive, and there's a link there to dive deeper. That's what it looks like, and we have hard copies over here as well. These are the units that we cover in U.S. history in 9th grade. It starts from the Civil War and Reconstruction and goes to today's challenges, 80s, 90s, and beyond. On 10th grade, we also had another course change. Again, content per se didn't change, the name of the course did. It used to be called Perspectives in World History. We're actually recommending that we change that to Ancient World History, again, for more clarity and just ease of use. Follows the Missouri Learning Standards. The text that we're looking at for this is My World History Interactive. The link is there, and we do have a hard copy here for you to look at as well. The units in this course in 10th grade starts with
Early man.
thank you, and goes to the Renaissance. Thank you, Dr. Lane.
Yeah, I had to zoom in myself, so.
11th grade was also a course title change. The previous course was called Contemporary World History, changing that to Modern World History. Again, just kind of keeping it aligned with our Missouri Learning Standards. The text is the same that we just looked at. It is quite a thick text, so it encompasses everything from what we just talked about to, it continues to go from the French Revolution all the way to
Post-war.
Thank you, the post-world. On 11th and 12th grade, we're not changing a title, so this is the same. The text is My World History Interactive, and it looks like this, and we should have a copy over here for you to review. And this is what we cover in this course. It's a little truncated. It's early Middle Ages, triumph and tragedy in the Middle Ages, Renaissance and Reformation. I should have mentioned that was a semester-long class. The follow-up is the second semester, and the units that we unpack in there is Enlightenment in the Revolution, Foundations of the 19th Century, and Europe in the 20th Century. Last year, the board approved a new course for our district, African American Studies. The text hasn't changed, so I don't have a copy of that here, although Mr. Hughes does have a link to that book if you would like to review it again. And these are the units that we unpack in this course. It's from early African cultures and the slave trade all the way to the civil rights movement and beyond. American government, this was a name change. It used to be called Liberty and the Law. Again, to kind of simplify and make it more clear, we call it American government now, which is kind of the standard nomenclature in most high schools. The textbook that we're looking at is using is Magruder's American Government. There's a link there if you would like to look more into that text. We have a hard copy over here as well. And we cover these topics. This is a semester-long class, and so it's the U.S. Constitution, the Missouri Constitution, and rights and responsibilities of a U.S. citizen. This is also the course in which the kids have to take a required Constitution test for the state of Missouri. We also have a course called Contemporary Issues, and because it kind of depends on, this is more of a project-based class, and we kind of take our cues from our students. We don't have a certain text that kind of guide us. We want our kids to kind of guide where they think are, some important contemporary issues. But within that, so we've let it may appear to be vague, but it's vague by its very nature, in that we want kids to kind of generate some of the issues and bring some of those issues to light. So we look at contemporary issues across the globe: Africa, Asia, South America, and the Caribbean, and in Europe. Criminal justice is a course that we've offered for a long time here in the district. We're recommending we use the Criminal Justice in Action 11th edition, and I believe we do have a copy over here. There's a link for that as well. And this is a semester-long class that covers these 4 units. Psychology is also one of the courses that we offer in social studies. We are recommending the book Psychology, with a link there to the content of that text. I believe we do. I think this one might be online. I believe. And this is a semester-long course. These are the 4 units that we unpack in psychology. We also have an intro to sociology, and the text is the 6th edition of Introduction to Sociology, with a link to get more information on that text. We are, I don't have a sample of this, but this will be a hard, just so you guys know, we are getting hard copies of this text. I'm waiting for the sample to come in. But these are the 4 units that we unpack in Intro to Sociology. And Mr. Hughes just kind of wanted to summarize this by saying each of these courses are written as pending in EMBARK, which we talked about earlier. These courses were reviewed and changes were made to provide the best opportunities for Brentwood students to become college and career ready, and alignment with our district and building goals, and I would also say aligns well with the Missouri Learning Standards. So on behalf of Mr. Hughes, I'm thanking you for his time and attention to, your time and attention to his presentation. So that's social studies, and maybe we can call a timeout and just answer any questions about the social studies piece or pieces. Okay. World languages. So we have, as you know, we offer world language opportunities at the high school in French, Spanish, and German. And so it's kind of nice. The DESE has not changed the Missouri Learning Standards on world languages since 2011. So our teachers have been kind of hammering these standards, and they're pretty comfortable with them. So, but again, they looked at their curriculum, and they, if they needed to make some changes, it'll be listed under pending 2023 approval. That link will take you back to that EMBARK page. At the elementary level, we are recommending, I'm going to murder this on RESIS Level 1 curriculum. It's a digital curriculum with supporting resources. And I probably should have pointed out that is a hot link at the very top where it says World Language Materials Recommendation. You'll see the whole list of items that the teachers have recommended. At the elementary level, it's not really conducive to having a textbook, so we use a lot of supplemental resources to teach that K-5 Spanish curriculum. On the secondary side, quite frankly, on the French and German side, the textbooks that they have are in good shape, and they didn't feel like there was a need to update them. The language, I'm not making a joke, hasn't changed, and so they were comfortable using the current textbooks that they have, but wanted some supplemental resources, or requesting some supplemental resources to just kind of accentuate their curriculum. On the Spanish side, the Spanish teacher is recommending Exploración levels 1 through 4 with some additional supplementary resources as well. And again, that's a link to that text if you would like to look at that a little bit further. Questions on world languages?
So have we looked at, like, the languages, so French, Spanish, and German, is there student interest around that? I mean, Spanish, I understand, but a lot of curriculums will see Mandarin and some of these others, so we're sticking with those three because why?
Well, there is sufficient interest. I mean, we still have kids that, I mean, we'll have, for as small as we are, having, 5 or 6 kids at a level 5 world languages. Actually, it's pretty unheard of to have a level 5. Actually, my friends over at MRH are trying to figure out how they can tap into a level 5 at French and German. So I would submit that that's evidence that we got kids who are pretty interested in taking higher levels of French and German. They also qualify, they try to take that test for the seal of biliteracy, which is a pretty nice perk if they pass that.
Are we, so are we doing anything else, I guess? Do we know if there's interest in other languages, or are we doing something else, right? Because this gets to the whole programming, and I'm very curious. Those are very traditional, which is great, but there's also lots of literature out there around the value of other languages, so.
There are, I agree with that. I will say Launch offers opportunities for students to take Japanese and I think Mandarin to be
And I
specific.
think Latin, I was gonna ask, are we still also giving those launch options? Because I know there
Yeah,
were 3 or 4
we're
different.
required to. So MOCAP says you have to offer your virtual options just like you do your in-person. And I don't know, to answer your question, I don't know how explicit we're
Promoting it.
We're promoting that, but it is available for our students to take advantage of.
Well, and down the road, we could look at surveying to Jamie's point on that, to see if
Well,
there's.
but even just, Launch as a resource, like promoting that, right? That's
Right.
something that's there that allows us to have broader breadth without adding staff to go cover that, so.
Yeah, good point.
I will say I was at a meeting today with you might recall, there's another a local virtual campus the St. Louis virtual campus that is taking root, and one of the courses they would like to offer either next year or the following is Mandarin, oddly enough. So, there is probably region-wide there's enough interest, but in a school like Brentwood, we can do a survey. I'm afraid that the numbers would be so small, and looking at my friend Dr., that might be it might have to be offered through a virtual setting.
I'm not saying we change it, I'm just saying that we should highlight, because that's part of our big push is what type of programming can we offer,
for
even
sure.
if it's not dedicated resources, part of a defined curriculum. Okay.
School counseling. This one's pretty brief. Again, and same story. This will take you to Embark. You can see the counseling pending 2023 board approval. There's not really a textbook that we use for counseling. And I need to give a shout out to our friend Ann Bashi. She's our curriculum leader for all of our counselors in the district. The Missouri Learning Standards for Counseling have not changed for almost 10 years, so they're pretty familiar with those materials, or with those standards, I should say. The materials that they're recommending are pretty minimal. They're more professional resources that will help them address these various topics that we're seeing in our kids. I will say this is not to be confused with an SEL curriculum, that we have a separate group that's working diligently to come to the board with some recommendations here soon, but this is strictly for our counselors and giving them the resources they need to address some of the needs in our children. And so again, this is a link to the materials that they're recommending.
So the standards haven't changed, but I hope that like some of the materials that we look at are newer. Because even though the standards haven't changed, I think the problems have changed or have gotten worse. Maybe not changed, but, so I just want to make sure that, back in the day when there was materials at the elementary level for lack of a better word, puberty and all that, like, they were so outdated, even though standards hadn't changed, that like some parents were like, we're really showing these videos again. So just making sure that even if standards haven't changed, we at least get the updated or new and improved stuff. You know, because we want the material to be,
Well, this will be relevant in
right,
2023
yeah.
program. So that's where it's at. So we literally will just, I'll come back in and ask for approval on both the curriculum side and the material side. This will be out for public review, and in the meantime, feel free to email me questions. I'll be happy to answer anything you got.
Okay.
Thank you, appreciate
Thanks
it.
so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you. All right, and then I was looking for approval. We had the first read of the policy, the LCA travel expenses, and I was looking for approval of that.
I move that we approve the travel expense reimbursement policy, DLCA AP as outlined.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right, that is approved.
I think the next item is yours.
It is. Okay, so our next item is MSBA Board of Directors nominations. So Keith Ravenberg, who is on the call tonight, this is a position that he has held with MSBA, and in order to run again, he needs to be nominated by the board. Keith, do you want to share any thoughts on this, or why you're so excited to do this again, which we love?
Sure. So these are 2-year terms, and so I was elected 2 years ago, and so my term's up. I'm not exactly sure, to tell you the truth, when this election is going to be, because the spring meeting stuff has been changed around. But regardless of that, the first step is to have you guys nominate me for this, which I'm asking you to do and hoping you'll do, and then we'll go from there.
Keith, I will happily nominate you for the board of directors.
Second.
Oh, yeah.
All right, any discussion?
Thank
All
you,
in
Keith.
favor say aye.
Aye.
Yes, thank you, Keith.
Aye.
We
Thank you so much.
appreciate you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Checks in the mail, Keith.
Okay, and then next is MSBA Continuing Education Refresher Training. Kate, are we?
Let's see, Keith Ravenberg and Keith Slusser and Ryan Flynn have completed it for this time period, but other folks need to complete it.
Do you want to name our names?
So is this yearly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Carrie, that's you.
There might be one version that is longer than that, but I think this is more the annual one.
There is a 3-year version.
Because I remember
There's-
Melissa and I did one, so I was thinking I was good, but,
I thought I had done the longer one too, but
I can double check that and see if they identify which is which.
that's fine.
okay.
Okay, thank you, Kate. We will do it. MSBA Delegate Report, anything to report, Keith?
Really nothing new at this time.
Okay. Board committee updates. So all of our board committees have gotten larger because we now have citizens that are part of our committees, and I think everyone has met at this point.
Yep.
Just to kind of give overview, so in our finance and facilities, we met last week, and we have 2 citizens that are on that group with us, and so we just went over what we're doing in finance and facilities, 5-year plan, 10-year plan. It's coming up with the Mark Twain project, and we do have the McGrath open house on this Saturday at 10 a.m. for anyone who would like to come out and walk through the new school. That would be great. Any updates from communication or curriculum?
Yeah, from a communications, we had our meeting last Thursday as well. We walked through all the different tools that we have that we use to communicate out to the rest of the district. We talked a little bit about the walkthrough on Saturday as well. And we have 3 people from the community participating, so it was a really good, productive meeting.
Great.
I met with Alex before because I was going to be out of town, so maybe Alex can tell a little bit about how the meeting went, the curriculum.
Yeah, and Keith was there. We had great participation. We had 3 members of our community that joined us, and we dug a little bit into the presentation that I had this evening, looked at just kind of the overarching kind kind of themes of curriculum, and then also got some really good input on kind of some topics that would be good for this committee to kind of dive a little deeper into. So I think we're meeting in April again, so I'm looking forward to meeting with them.
Great. All right, and just upcoming events, as we mentioned, the McGrath Early Childhood Center opening on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. There is, I think Kate registered everyone, so we have the ability to attend the MSBA Lunch and Learn Zoom meetings, and those are listed here every Friday in March. We have a policy meeting on March 7th, board meeting on the 14th, and Legislative Advocacy Day is Tuesday, March 28th down in Jeff City. I know Dr. Lane and Keith Ravenberg are planning on going. If anyone else is able to join them or interested, that's always a good day to be in Jeff City. And we have our Senior Citizens Brunch, which is back, and we're excited to have that on Thursday, March 30th at 9:30 at the new McGrath. And so there'll be more information going out to the community about that.
Let's see, and if you want to attend the advocacy day, let me know, because I just have to let MSBA know who's going to be there. And then the Senior Citizens Bunch, if you'd like to attend that, let me know so I can get you in the guest count, please.
Excellent. Thank you, Kate.
All right. Anything else for that? All right.
I move that we adjourn and move into closed session for the reasons stated in the agenda.
Second?
We could have a roll call, please.
Jamie Allen,
Yes.
Brian Flynn.
Yes.
Chris Perkins, Keith Ravenberg,
Yes.
Keith Slusser, Lindsay Spencer,
Yes.
Carrie Chostel.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight.
Thank you all.
Thank you.